To the average eye, it was just a snake, with mottled scales of green and yellow. It slithered between the gray tiles of the old stone temple, paying no heed to its decay. It ignored the cracks in the stone, passed idly by the crumpled statues, and it simply slid through the moss growing amidst the ground. And yet, upon its back were two wings, feathered and delicate, shining with a dull gleam. It wasn't just a snake. It was whom I had come to see, the Kukulkan, deity of feathered serpentine form. I opened my mouth as if to speak, finding my words lost to the wind. What to say to a god? How best to beg to something so far above even the concept of mortal life? Great Kukulkan, I ask you to heed my words. I need your aid. The great snake did not respond, choosing instead to coil around the only standing statue in the room. It depicted an old man wreathed in a spiked headdress, with feet of barbed claws. The Kukulkan curled around the statue's shoulder, and I stood barely tall enough to match it. For the first time, we were both on eye level. The snake stared into my eyes, the eyes of a warrior whose blades were long since dulled on the undeserving. Great Kukulkan, I said, more confidently now. I ask you to heed my words. I need your aid. Feathered serpent's piercing eyes fixed on me, glowing softly in the temple's darkness. It looked past me as though it was evaluating my very soul, wordlessly judging me as I stared. Is it even possible to appeal to an ageless deity? Is a human being truly worthy of asking the divine for favors? The hair on my arm stood up in anticipation now.
I cannot offer you strength, dear warrior. You have endured a fool's errand,
said the coiled deity. It spoke without speaking, its disjointed thoughts finding their way to my head on their own. It spoke to me with sympathy, though its voice was low and monotone. I wouldn't get a better opportunity to ask for help. I took this cue to fall to my knees, taking up a position of fealty as I prostrated myself. Great Kukulkan, I beg of you, restore my fertility! The Kukulkan's jaw dropped, the fanged teeth hanging out for a moment before the deity squinted at me while furiously searching through my soul again, as though it had missed something.
Seriously?
There was silence in the room as I continued to prostrate on the ground. The very ungodlike tone the Kukulkan has just taken with me did not bode well. My best choice now was to remain completely silent and docile. That's what the wind sages has whispered betwixt words of caution for the long journey and vague allusions to the words fertility and snake.
How do you even... I'm known for creating the world with my brothers, for gifting mortals maize and wind. Only a few people believe I'm a fertility god. How do you know that?
A bead of sweat made its way down the side of my face, dropping a short distance onto the stone floor. I'd hiked across half the continent to be here, wild animals stalking me from every corner. All the same, though, I understood. A timeless deity wouldn't understand my human desire to raise the next generation. Someone without the immortal gaze couldn't possibly hope to ask favors from a god. I understand, O great deity. My request must be nonsense to a perpetual being like yourself, I said. At least if I could be polite, I might leave the temple with my dignity intact. The Kukulkan let out a long, loud sigh of displeasure, uncoiling itself from the statue before sliding over to me, wings raised.
Look, I can do it, alright? I am the birds in flight. I am the rain against the light. I help to make the world, you know. But, not here. Follow.
I meekly followed the deity out of the temple, pausing only to look back at the dilapidated stone pyramid, weathered with age and covered with foliage. No one had worshipped here in a long time. We walked now into the jungle, crashing through the brush along some long-forgotten path, the stones barely visible against the brown jungle floor. The rough leaves scraped against my face as I craned my neck to keep sight of the Kukulkan slithering on the ground. Though it crawled with purpose, it tucked its wings low to the ground, practically hidden from sights. If the thunderous howls in the distance were any indication, we were not alone here. If I may, is it not burdensome to crawl along one's belly on the ground? I said, voice low against the jungle floor.
Ah, but I can no longer fly, dear warrior. No one believes in much of anything anymore.
You cannot fly upon your wings? I said, my voice betraying my surprise. The stories described this deity as flying majestically through the sky. Could it really be reduced to this, simply because no one prayed here anymore?
They are only vestiges, ones of kinder times and kinder hearts. In more ways than one.
The Kukulkan laughed bitterly at this, as if lost in memory. I stayed silent, trying to respect the divine solitary moment of joy. Such a thing was immensely more precious than the musings of my own human life. Eventually, the Kukulkan spoke again.
And what of you? Why seek out an old god? Why chase the shadows into their corners and follow legends instead of science?
I pondered this question for a moment, holding my mind on the answer I knew lingered there. I had to say it. I wanted to say it, even though every word felt like poison. Because out there, in the world beyond the wild, I snapped. I shed blood that wasn't mine to shed. I killed and killed and killed, and only when I snapped out of it did I think twice about what I'd done. I said, trembling slightly. Because I have a woman who I love, who I'd die for in a heartbeat. But I can't share children with her. I can't run back to the cities, beg for medical help. I can't trap myself with the civilization I shunned and live forever in reminder of what I've done. This place here in the wildlands, the lands of myths and wilderness, is the only place I feel safe enough to believe that things can get better. The Kukulkan stayed silent for a moment, before turning back to look at me.
Hold out your arm.
Wordlessly, I held it out. Within a moment, the snake deity was curled around my left arm, clearly pleased with itself.
It will be easier to travel this way. Forward, warrior. You may find belief just yet.
With the Kukulkan's coiled appraisal, I pushed forward through the rest of the foliage, silently enduring as my flesh was ripped upon the jagged branches and leaves of the thick brush. A clearing revealed an unusual spring, and beneath it lay 3 eggs of mottled black, gently embraced in the confines of a nest. They lay idly, incubated by none and protected by even less. "These are yours, Kukulkan?" I said, turning to the snake god as it slithered on to the jungle floor.
Does that surprise you? They're my last ones. My hopes that never hatched.
The Kukulkan gently coiled around the nest now, its body resting against the soft black eggs. The scaled god's face was awash with sorrow now. The previously bright and upright facial scales now almost leaned downward. I'm sorry. What happened?
When you pledge to drench the lands in rain, you pray for the power of the storm. To blow away the dust, you pray for wind. But as the leaves fall and the times change, no one wants storms anymore. No one wishes for the hurricane to water the crops, nor the tornado to cleanse the land. there comes a time where there's no need to believe in anything. And when that happens, snakes can no longer fly upon the winds, or keep their pledges to defend the next generation.
I shifted, discomforted by how agitated the Kukulkan had become in its grief. A raging god would surely smite me if provoked. And you were just abandoned? Left to die?
It is like I said, nobody believes in much of anything anymore. Not even I can change that.
I tried to change the topic now, feeling the tension rising by the minute. What am I intended to do here? I don't understand.
Before you came here, I did not exist. I held not the strength even to manifest. But you, despite all that you are, have come here, risking life and limb just to find me. You are the first in 1,000 years. I cannot return your hope with apathy. I cannot lie on the ground and tell you that all is lost, nor retreat and simply consent to disappear.
It paused, glancing with teared eyes towards its egg clutch, tearing itself away before returning its elevated gaze to me.
With this power you have given, the strength of your belief, I was able to walk this earth once more. I have returned to the site of my unfinished business, my broken promise to my next generation. You, a mortal, have given a god a chance more precious than anything I could ever want.
In the depths of the jungle, the wind began to gently blow, rustling the leaves on each tree nearby.
To that end, you and I will make a new promise. The soil will be broken anew, and a new future will sprout in place of the old.
The wind whipped faster now, swirling around the Kukulkan and I. It whipped through my hair and clothes. A fierce gale formed from nothing at all.
Now, take these eggs, imbibe them. With that, the promise will be set. My failure will be reborn as your future. You and your offspring will carry on my will. You will bring hope, and your offspring will sing songs lost to time.
The Kukulkan's expression did not waver, the tempest of winds not causing it to falter in the slightest. But I'm only human. You wish for your will to be carried out by me? I said, my voice dragged away by the wind.
Human or not, immortal or mortal, all life must move on eventually. It is simply my price for ensuring your path to that future.
The Kukulkan's form was starting to fade now, the wind blurring all but me, it, and the remains of the nest. There was no going back now. I took the 3 eggs in my hands, watching as the Kukulkan continued to fade. I vow to remember Kukulkan, the winged serpent. I ate 1 egg, feeling my body react to the torrential winds, feeling as though it was 1,000 miles away. I vow to cherish its gift, now and forever. The 2nd egg went down, my body being torn apart by wind as sharp and piercing as steel. I vow to pass on the will of the divine serpent. The 3rd egg seemed to separate my soul from my body, the wind-whipped jungle spiraling out of sight. The last thing I saw before I closed my eyes was the Kukulkan, contentedly fading into the moonlight. In time, I awoke, laying on that jungle floor. The divine snake was gone. All that remained were the patchwork remnants of the nest, empty and abandoned. I dusted myself off and headed for home. I'd shown my faith now. all that was left was to believe.